Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is, of course, our awesome honor and privilege to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all sorts of good stuff. I'm joined, coming to us directly from the Robservatory today, writer, director, producer, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Rob, how you doing today, sir?
Hello, everyone. It's nice that Project Hail Mary has been unleashed on the world, and it's going to be interesting to see how it does this weekend.
You know, I was supposed to go see Ready or Not 2 last night, but at the last second, Ann and I decided we want to see Project Hail Mary again. So we have now seen Project Hail Mary 3 times. So I'm going to go see Ready or Not tonight. Tonight, I'm going to go see Ready or Not, but not, I was supposed to have seen it already. I was supposed to do an out-of-theater reaction, but it's like, nah, I feel like watching Project Hail Mary again, so that's what we did. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here. Here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your comments and questions. Now, there are 2 different ways to get a comment or a question on the show. If you are watching the show live right now, as we're doing it live streaming, you can use the super chat feature to send in a question. The super chats are open right now. I will be turning them off at some point in the show, but right now they're still open. So if you're watching live, use the super chat feature to send in a question if you have one. Or if you're one of the many people who watches this show later in the day when we're not live, you can also send in a topic or question by using our tip link at streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. You can find a link for that down in the description of this video, and you can send in a question and we'll get around to answering it on the next episode that we do. Now, of course, this is all given that we find your comments or questions appropriate to be used on the show. We do, of course, reserve the right not to answer any questions or topics if we don't think they're appropriate for the show. All right, guys. With that down, let's get things started here, shall we? And we're going to start off with this. News came out this morning that iconic, not just action star director or action star actor, but also legitimate world-class martial artist, Chuck Norris, has passed away at the age of 86. As they write in the Hollywood Reporter, the martial arts master also was a big screen action hero in Lone Wolf McQuade, Missing in Action, Delta Force, and of course, many, many things more. He was in Walker, Texas Ranger for I believe that show ran for 9 seasons.
Yeah.
9 seasons. It is, he was 86 years old, and Rob, you could tell he was, of course, he was getting up there. He was getting older, and at some point, Chuck Norris isn't afraid to die. Death is afraid of Chuck Norris dying, and the day has come. And look, I'm not going to pretend he was one of the great thespians of our time.
Certainly not.
But I think it's fair to say that he literally defined what the modern idea is of the action hero. I mean, he was really it. He kind of set the template for what an action hero is, that, Sylvester Stallone and Schwarzenegger and Jean-Claude Van Damme and others would come to kind of fill their shoes. And, in that way, he became an influence on the entire movie industry for decades and decades and decades and decades. And, when he made I think his big screen debut was Enter the Dragon, 1972.
Yeah.
Him and Bruce Lee, a lot of people don't realize this. They didn't just appear in a movie. They were legit off-screen friends. They would talk martial arts all the time. They would teach each other their own techniques. And, and then it was Bruce Lee that said, listen, we've got this role for, the gunslinger, the guy who's coming for me. I think you should be perfect for it. He had to put on weight for it because his body frame was a lot smaller, a little bit closer to Bruce Lee's. And no, I want a guy who's bigger. So he put on 20 pounds of muscle and became a living meme. The Chuck Norris memes are the greatest ones of all time. And look, elephant in the room. I know in his last couple of decades, he became a little bit grandpa, it's time to go to bed. I remember during the Mitt Romney, Barack Obama campaign, when I saw him get on TV and like said, if I'm remembering it correctly, and he said, if Barack Obama gets elected again, we will be condemning our children to 1,000 years of darkness. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
1,000 years of darkness? But you know what? Whatever. Who cares? I love seeing him on screen. Even when he was he did a smaller part in The Expendables. And remember, he showed up and they made some Chuck Norris jokes about it too. And he's in it. It's like, it was just awesome. He was just that guy. Like, in a world where you get a lot of like these on-screen martial art action heroes, it's pretty cool to see a guy who is a legit world champion. You know, guys like him, also like guys like Jackie Chan, things like that. He defined the role. You know what I mean? He defined the role of action hero. And he lived a great life, lived to 86, but it is kind of weird, Rob, thinking that we now live in a world without Chuck Norris. It's kind of weird. Anyway, Rob.
No, John. Chuck Norris now lives on an existence away from us.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah.
So look, you look back at saying, I mean, obviously Missing in Action, Delta Force, Walker, Texas Ranger. I mean, you look back at the career of Chuck Norris today. What are the things that stand out to you?
Well, when I was a kid, the first Chuck Norris movie that came out that I remember was a movie called Good Guys Wear Black. And I remember like there was a poster of him like jumping into the windshield of a car. And I remember it came out in 78. So I was like, 11 or something. And I made my dad take me to see Good Guys Wear Black. And I loved it. I thought it was the greatest thing because I hadn't really seen a martial arts movie in the theater back then. And, my dad thought it was kind of silly, but we had fun watching it. But then in the 80s, I've always thought of Chuck Norris, and I mean no disrespect when I say this, as kind of like he's like the Walmart action hero. Like he never got a movie like when Steven Seagal, I remember when Above the Law, like that came out, but Steven Seagal got to be in movies like Under Siege where he starred, and that was a big budget movie that Andy Davis, who directed The Fugitive, directed. And he was also, and he had a small part in like Executive Action with Kurt Russell. So he got to be in a few A-list movies, but Chuck Norris in the 80s was like Cannon Films poster boy. He was in things like Invasion USA, and you already mentioned things like Delta Force and Missing in Action, and they made sequels, and those movies didn't exactly have the biggest budgets, but they were fun. Like we all saw them, and more importantly, they were on cable incessantly. So you'd watch those movies over and over and over again because they were on. And there was something very, I don't know, sort of Midwestern American about Chuck Norris with his beard. I mean, like that picture is, I don't know if that's Walker, Texas Ranger, but I remember when he did like Lone Wolf McQuade. And I mean, I just grew up watching Chuck Norris. And yeah, okay, so he became kind of this crazy right-wing Christian at the end of his life where he was railing against LGBTQ issues and our black president and things like that. And like you put it so succinctly, he was kind of like, okay, Grandpa, it's time to go to bed now. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I saw Good Guys Wear Black in a movie theater with my dad. And I did see Invasion USA in a movie theater. And I make no apologies for watching Chuck Norris in the 80s. And look, we'll never see the likes of him again. There's never going to be a guy like Chuck Norris again.
You can say that about a lot of people. It's often said there'll never be another whatever. And quite often there are other versions of that person come along. But it's true. There will never be another Chuck Norris. And, we talk about like, I look at him and it's like the guy who really defined the role of the action star. But by the way, you go back to that fight in Enter the Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
And that is still today one of the most epic things you'll ever watch. like 50 years later, it's still like the most epic thing you'll ever see. And it's just kind of surreal seeing like Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee on screen together. But he truly, listen, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say the dude is an institution.
Yeah, he really is.
A smaller corner of the facility, maybe, but Chuck Norris was in and of himself, in a way, an institution and kind of represented an entire corner of the movie industry in a way.
Yeah.
And what a career, what a legacy. And again, when you got the whole world who makes up these memes about your greatness. It says something about your legacy, I think. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Chuck Norris has passed away at the age of 86. When you look back on his career, what are the things you're going to remember fondly? Maybe it's some of the great little cameo things he would do. Maybe it's one of his bigger, more iconic films. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, things at Paramount are a little rough. Like, amidst all the great celebration going on for them, that they have won the bidding war to get Warner Brothers Discovery, there is, of course, the hangover, if you will, of realizing that they're going to be saddled with $79 billion in debt, which is something I made an editorial video about a while ago. They have, without exaggeration, easily the most unimpressive movie slate of 2026 out of any of the studios. And they've got a lot of money stuff going on. Well, to add a little bit onto that right now, this legendary, iconic, responsible for so many of my favorite movie studio is also facing, kind of like AMC Theaters, which we've talked about the other day, a little bit of a stock problem. Because not only are they facing an upcoming $79 billion debt, which, as I explained in our video, that equals $12 million in interest every day. $12 million in interest every day. Something like $4.6 billion of interest on that debt every year. They are also facing a little bit of a challenge when it comes to the stock market, because as is being reported in the Wall Street Journal, yesterday, Paramount Skydance hit its lowest price since 2009. Their lowest price since 2009. Just read a little bit from it here. Paramount Skydance stock fell 0.4% on Thursday, continuing its run of 9 straight days of decreases, its longest streak since June of 2015. Shares of the embattled media company have declined 25% during that period. Paramount's closing price of $8.96 reflects the stock's lowest close since August of 2009. Shares are down 33% this year and 34% so far this month. Now, look, to be fair to Paramount, when the battle was going on between Paramount and Netflix to get Warner Brothers, in Paramount's defense, Netflix's own stock was also taking a hit. Like, Netflix's stock was trending downwards because, making a major acquisition like Warner Brothers Discovery makes the stock market very nervous about what your future could be, what problems you might inherit, all that kind of stuff. So it's not just Paramount. Like, it was Netflix too, although Netflix didn't drop quite as much. But now we're sitting in a situation where, okay, Paramount won, and as soon as Netflix said, oh, we're not paying as much, Paramount wants to offer what? $110 billion? Yeah, it's not worth it. So as soon as Netflix got out, Netflix's stock did this, and it took off, while Paramount's stock has continued to decline. And as we can see, from this chart in the Wall Street Journal, decline quite a bit. So a large part of this, of course, there's several factors. There's no one big magic bullet in this that is the reason they're having this decline. It is a couple of things. Some of them are connected. First, of course, is the market is nervous about them taking over Warner Brothers. They just don't know if they can financially manage it. It's going to be $79 billion in debt. The Ellisons have still not shown us. I'm not saying I don't believe they can make Paramount a wonderful studio again. I'm not saying that they can't do it. I'm just saying they haven't shown that they can do it yet. They haven't shown that they can even manage Paramount, let alone taking that over. And you pile on top of that the fact, Rob, that, the market looks at them and they really do have the weakest lineup. I mean, yay, we got Jackass 4 coming this year, and that's kind of their crown jewel, while other people are putting out, a Toy Story movie, Super Mario Brothers, another Hunger Games, a Spider-Man movie, Dune 3, Avenger. But guys, we've got Jackass 4. So it's, and on top of that, a little bit of a blanket thing that the overall stock market itself has been struggling. You and I were talking about that off screen before we started the show today. So like all those factors combined has the market not having a lot of confidence in them right now. That doesn't mean they can't turn it around. It doesn't mean they won't turn it around. It's just pointing out that when you got a major studio like this, Rob, that hits its 9-year low and has been like month after month just in declines, it is a little bit concerning. When you look at this situation, what do you attribute it most to? And what does Paramount need to do to turn this thing around, do you think?
Well, you know, they shut down CBS Radio today. And, or I don't know if they announced they're shutting it down. And that's been on, CBS Radio has existed for 100 years. And I grew up listening to the CBS Radio Mystery Theater every night. That's where I developed a love of audio dramas, which made me want to make true noir. And, you know, E.G. Marshall hosted it, and there was lots of well-known actors that would star in it. And sometimes it would really freak me out, but I love that. And they've gotten rid of that, and they're trying to see. The thing is, to me, I think that they just have larger ambitions. I mean, Larry Ellison wants to control news. I mean, Barry Weiss, he put in her from the Free Press to control CBS News, and there's all kinds of other things going on there. And I don't think they're in a particularly strong position to move in and take over a studio that's doing way better than they are. And it's sort of weird to see this kind of thing happen. But I don't know, with what's going on overseas and how the markets are now sort of destabilized, and where we don't know what's going to happen with oil, but our economy is on the precipice of some not great things possibly happening. So who knows if they can even afford it. So we're going to see how that goes. I mean, what would I attribute? You know, Paramount, again, these companies have to focus on their core business. And their core business is making entertainment or providing news to the public or this kind of thing. And I think they have to make a decision and do what they do best. I mean, that's what everybody expects from them. That's what their investors expect from them. And when Paramount seems like they're going after Warner Brothers, to me, that seems like a big distraction that's only going to incur more debt. So, you know, again, I am not any kind of a fiscal or financial guru. No, that's about the last thing I am. So it's hard for me to really talk about it in a learned fashion, but it just seems to me like I think it's probably about the worst time in the world for them to be trying to acquire Warner Brothers. Like you've said, let's see Paramount do Paramount for a while. Make that work.
Yeah, that's always been the biggest thing to me about this, is that, okay, like you made a move and you got Paramount. Cool. Okay, this could be interesting. I think, you know, David Ellison is a guy who truly loves film. I think he's got some neat vision for it, maybe, although that we haven't seen any of it come into play yet. I really want to see him be able to do that first. You know, when I was at AMC Theaters, they had a philosophy about how they approach things. They're not the ones who made it up, but it's one they adopted. And that philosophy was called crawl, walk, run. And basically everything that AMC would do, it's like, let's start slow. They would always go slow. Sometimes that frustrated me, but it was a philosophy that served them well. We crawl, we make sure we can crawl. Then we get up when we walk, we make sure we can walk steady. And then we go full blown. Like even with their AMC A-list, they were running out pilot programs and doing studies on it for like 5-10 years before they finally launched AMC A-list. Crawl, walk, run. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to have that philosophy. Not at all. But when you're buying Paramount, it would be kind of neat just to see if you can handle Paramount first before getting Warner Brothers. But at any rate, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Paramount stock has hit a 9-year low after many months of successive declines in their stock. There's many different things to attribute that to. Part of it is just the stock market itself. Some of it is the fact that they don't have a great slate this year. Part of it is the fact that they're about to take on a $79 billion debt. Part of it is about to acquire another major company. I mean, it's a lot of different little things coming together. What do you think the major culprit here is, and what do you see as their path to get out of it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. Hey, listen, just before we continue on with our next topic here, we're going to be talking a bit about Zendaya. I just want to let you guys know that this Sunday, that's just in a couple of days from now, we are going to be doing our Project Hail Mary open spoiler discussion. I haven't set an exact time for it yet. I think it's going to be in the afternoon. But if you have seen Project Hail Mary by Sunday, you got today to watch it, you got tomorrow to watch it, and you got Sunday early to watch it. We are going to be doing an open spoiler discussion on Sunday. So if you've seen the movie, I hope you guys will come and join us for that. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, Zendaya has kind of very quietly, and in some ways not so quietly, kind of started to rule this industry. She's become not only, I mean, obviously she's, as many people, male and female, in the movie business today, she is stunningly beautiful, obviously. But, you know, it was sometime, I can't remember exactly what it was. It might have been either Euphoria season 1 or that one kind of thriller that she did, or maybe even The Greatest Showman, where I went, you know what? She's not just a really pretty music star or music personality from the stuff that she was doing, who they just slapped on screen. Wow, this girl's really good. Like, she's really good. And we've only seen her get bigger and bigger and better, and her performances are always great. Well, you know, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and then today a whole bunch of people wrote in about it as well, is that 2026, hear me out, because I don't mean this with any kind of hyperbole at all. 2026 might end up being, for Zendaya, the single biggest year any actor in Hollywood has ever had. Because when you sit down and think, all this year, in 2026 alone, this is what Zendaya's doing with her time. She's got The Odyssey. She's got the drama. That's the one she's got with Robert Pattinson coming out. She's got Euphoria season 3. She's got Spider-Man Brand New Day. And she's got Dune 3, all coming out this year. The Odyssey, Spider-Man Brand New Day, and Dune 3 by themselves would give her one of the best years ever any performer's ever had. But then you've got this award-winning series that she's doing. It's probably going to be the last season for Euphoria. That is a multi-Emmy winning show. And this Robert Pattinson movie she's got, and I'm not talking about Dune 3, which she's also going to be with Robert Pattinson in. This looks really good. I'm really looking forward to seeing the drama. But again, Rob, you take away all the rest of that stuff. And you just got The Odyssey, Dune 3, and Spider-Man Brand New Day. All in the same year. Like, this is crazy.
Those 3 movies alone, that's a career, a whole career right there. And I think, look, I really like her. You know, she seems very personable, and I've loved seeing her on talk shows. And look, when she does movies like Challengers, she's clearly a good actress. She's great on Euphoria, and I think she has a lot of range. And there's just something about her. You know, she, despite her relationship with Tom Holland, she stays out of the tabloids. She always seems to class up the joint. She seems very affable and easy to get along with. And I think that, and she does great work. So I think that, I mean, her success is richly deserved. And I'm glad to see it happen for somebody like her. You know, if she sort of sets the tone. And I like that about her.
You know, one of the things that I really always admired about her, I remember this, we talk about it every once in a while. There was this show, I don't remember what it was called, but it was like a lip sync battle show where 2 different celebrities would come on the show and they do lip sync battles, right? And this was a long time ago, but it was Zendaya and Tom Holland. And I don't think they were an item yet when this happened. Somebody can correct me in the live chat if I'm wrong. but Tom Holland dressed up and did Umbrella.
Oh, dude.
Under my umbrella. First of all, that was the moment I became a lifelong fan of Tom Holland, because I'm like, this kid is fearless. He is absolutely fearless. But beyond that, because everybody forgets, Tom Holland's like a world-class dancer too. Yep. But beyond that, I remember watching Zendaya in the background and her reaction to all the stuff Tom Holland was doing. And one of the things that I really love about Zendaya, that I've come to really like and respect a whole bunch, is the fact that despite the fact that she's like on top of the world, she's an incredible actor. She's got Emmy. She's going to have Oscars on her mantle by the time her career is done. She's got one of the most high-profile marriages. She's in all the highest-profile movies, all that kind of stuff. She legitimately comes across to me like one of the group of people that goes out with Ann and I and a few of our friends on a Thursday night and hang out at Penalties. That's a sports bar near here that we hang out at. And go to Penalties and just hangs out. Like, she always just comes across like that. She never comes across as, you know, one of the most beautiful, most talented performers in the industry. She just always really comes across to me as really nice. And you add on top of that this ridiculous world-class talent. You add on top of that the profile of the movies that she gets to do. And again, guys, just in case you missed it, look at this list. This is just 2026. So Rob, let me ask you again, as we look at this list, you know, Odyssey, Spider-Man, Brand New Day, the drama, Euphoria season 3, which is probably going to win more Emmys. Can you think of a year? Like, I know Scarlett Johansson had one or two really good years. Jim Carrey had that one year where I think he had The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, and an Ace Ventura movie, I think, like all in one year, if I'm not mistaken. But can you think of many years that line up with a year like this that Zendaya is about to have?
No. I mean, 3 huge blockbusters, an HBO series, and a hipster indie drama. I mean, no, I can't. And good for her. I think it's really cool. I like it.
And I can't wait to see her in Dune 3. I really can't wait to see her in Dune 3. It's going to be great. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, put the drama and Euphoria season 3 aside, which would already make a great year for anybody in Hollywood. You add on top of that the Odyssey, Dune 3, and Spider-Man Brand New Day, all on top of that. Whatever you guys think about that, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still have a number of other things we got to talk about, including Ryan Gosling has just confirmed that he has actually had talks with Marvel about maybe becoming their new Ghost Rider. That's interesting. Also, on top of that, we got Project Hail Mary just had the biggest previews at the box office for any film this year, and like the second best ever for a non-sequel or franchise film. Tom Cruise may actually end up being the villain in the brand new Miami Vice film that's coming out. And with the trailer numbers that we saw the other day, Spider-Man Brand New Day and Avengers Doomsday, Marvel could become the first studio in history that has two $2 billion films in the same year. Could that actually happen? We're going to talk about those things and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a second here and thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at Factor. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Factor. Hey guys, you know how it is. Between the daily live show, tracking the latest box office numbers, and planning our next movie meetup in the van, my schedule gets absolutely hectic. Now, somewhere between the first warm weekend and realizing short season is getting close, eating well stops just being optional. Factor is how we stop letting a busy schedule be our excuse. They provide fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs. I had their smoky Gouda mac and shredded beef after a long editing session last week on that Spider-Man Rights video I did, and it was amazing. So whether you're looking for calorie smart options or the new Muscle Pro collection, which is perfect if you're getting back into a workout routine, they have 100 rotating weekly meals to keep things fresh. And the best part? They are always fresh, never frozen, and ready in just 2 minutes with zero prep and zero stress. I love it, and I think you will too. So head over to factormeals.com/Campea50off and use the code Campea50off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Make healthier eating easy with Factor. And thank you to our friends at Factor for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on here with things, shall we? And we're going to pick things up with this. You know, one of the big whispers around town, because with Marvel, there's always a ton of talk. Who's going to play this? Who's going to play that? Oh, when is this actor going to come into the MCU? When's that actor going to come into the MCU? One of the ones that came up a while ago with a lot of fan chat was the idea of Ryan Gosling possibly playing Ghost Rider. And there was a lot of talking about it and all that kind of stuff. Well, right now, during his promotional tour of promoting Project Hail Mary, which we're going to talk about more in just a little bit here, he was actually on a podcast, and I think it was the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast. And they asked him straight up about the possibility of there being any legitimacy to the whispers and talk about him maybe being Ghost Rider, to which he said, not a lot, but he said, there have been talks. As we go over to the playlist, and the playlist writes, Ryan Gosling says Kevin Feige's Ghost Rider talks have happened, but calls it complicated. The Project Hail Mary star says some discussions have been had about the Marvel antihero years after first naming Ghost Rider as the character he wanted to play. They go on to write this. Appearing on Josh Horowitz's Happy, Sad, Confused podcast while promoting Project Hail Mary, Gosling was asked whether Ghost Rider talk had moved beyond fan chatter to what we hope, and I got to adjust this, give me a second here. There we go. To what we hope alive. He said, when Horowitz followed by asking whether he had actually had that conversation with Kevin Feige, Gosling answered, some discussions have been had. It's a complicated situation. Some conversations have been had. It's a complicated situation. All right. So there's obviously not a lot here to talk about other than the fact that this whole thing about the possibility of Ryan Gosling maybe being Ghost Rider is now beyond just the fan chat. He's actually talked to them about it. Now, it should be noted that for every one conversation that happens about somebody maybe getting a role, and then they actually do end up getting the role or taking on the role, there are 50 other conversations that come out to mean nothing. So
Sure.
it should be pointed out here, Rob, and I think it's fair to say that just because Ryan Gosling is confirmed that he has had talks with Marvel about Ghost Rider, that does not mean it's going to happen, especially when he throws out, it's complicated. But I would be remiss if I didn't just kind of throw out there that he's also right now kind of in the family, because what's his next big movie coming out? Star Wars Starfighter, right? So he's already kind of in the Disney family, huge blockbusters right now. I mean, obviously Project Hail Mary is going to be big for him, and probably he'll end up doing some more stuff with Amazon. But you know what, Rob? I'll tell you this. I've never been interested in Ghost Rider on the big screen. I really haven't. I just don't know that it's a character that lends itself all that great to the big screen. But if Ryan Gosling was to play it, you had my... Which order does Leonardo DiCaprio say it in? You had my interest, now you have my attention? Or was it the other way around?
My curiosity.
Oh, yeah. And something like that. Anyway, I could be on board for that because really, I'm just going to bring this up again. He'd be perfect for it. He'd be great for it. So I would be down for it. But honestly, I don't see this happening. I give it like maybe a 10% chance of actually coming to fruition. Anyway, Rob, you hear about Ryan Gosling's confirming he's had those discussions. So really it's a two-pointed question here. Number one, do you think he will end up being Ghost Rider in the MCU? Second question is, do you even think he's a good fit for that, or that the character is a good fit for him? How do you see it?
Well, I think with roles he's had, like Only God Forgives and Drive, that his Nicholas Winding Refn roles, I think
Love that.
for sure he could definitely play a character like Johnny Blaze. I'm more dubious that I think Marvel has yet to crack the supernatural characters within the MCU formula. And while we have like Doctor Strange and confronting people like Dormammu, I mean, those are more like cosmic entities. But, you know, part of the reason I think that the Blade movie didn't happen is because I don't think they cracked that code. And Ghost Rider is such a supernaturally based character. How do you make Ghost Rider credibly interact with, say, Captain America and Thor? Can they make that work? Now, maybe they can. You know, I was surprised Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man worked as well as they did to start the MCU. But I think it's a difficult character to bring into the MCU. So I've always liked Ghost Rider. You know, as a kid, who doesn't like a guy on a motorcycle with a flaming skull? I mean, you know, it's like apes on horseback with rifles. You know, you're a kid, it's like, that's cool. But as you get older, although we are getting Jason Momoa in Supergirl playing Lobo, who's doesn't quite have a flaming skull, but's close. So, you know, all things being equal, I would love to see Gosling portray the character if that's the way they were going to go. I think he'd do a great job. He'd kill it.
Great. What are the chances that we actually see him doing? Do you actually think this will happen?
You know what? I don't. I think that there are better uses of Ryan Gosling in the MCU. I don't know.
Interesting.
I think that, look, Gosling is such a leading man, and he's got such a presence. I mean, he's less of a wisecracker than Ryan Reynolds is, but he can be both quiet and tough. I mean, I love the way he portrayed Agent K in Blade Runner 2049, and I really liked him in Drive. And he did a great I think the movie was called The Believer, where he was a self-hating Jew who joined the neo-Nazis. Have you ever seen that? It's an early role he did. He was incredible in that movie. And really
And let's
terrifying.
not forget about what was it called? Was it Lars and the Real Girl?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is like a totally different side to him in there too, which was so good.
Things like Half Nelson and I mean, he's actually had a really incredible career. If you look at the films he was in, The Nice Guys, I mean, he's done a lot of great stuff. So, you know, I think by staying out of a big like the MCU as long as it probably served him well. So he could do movies like Only God Forgives and Drive, which I think was great for him because that really went up against his Notebook persona. And he's a really versatile guy. So I would put nothing past him.
All right, guys. Question is for you. Ryan Gosling has confirmed that there have actually been talks about him maybe being Ghost Rider. But could we actually see it happen? Can you see Ghost Rider being a big screen character? And what do you think the chances are that Ryan Gosling would actually do it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, last night, like I said earlier in the show, Ann and I went to go see Project Hail Mary for the third time. We were actually planning on going to see another movie. We were like, nope, just in the mood to see Project Hail Mary again. And we went to go watch it, and it was an incredible experience. Now, you guys know, I've been very, very excited for this film. Like, I've been beside myself with excitement for this movie. But I have also been saying this whole time that I'm a little, how do I say it? Reserved in my estimations of how much money it's actually going to make, because it's not advertised as a 4-quadrant movie. Not everybody knows the book. I don't think the trailers, I mean, the last one they did was pretty solid, but you know, their marketing campaign hasn't been the best. And so I haven't really known how big it can be. Now, the other day we talked about how Box Office Pro is projecting that Project Hail Mary will open somewhere between $70 and $78 million opening weekend, which is a huge step up from the 40 to 44 million they were saying a few months ago, and would make it the #1 box office opening of the year so far, which would all be good if it can go in that way. Well, to that point, they just finished off their previews. Of course, leading up to the Thursday night before the Friday box office begins, they call that the preview period. And according to Deadline, Project Hail Mary had 12 million in previews, which makes it right now the best previews of any film this year. They go on to write this, but there's a big asterisk, okay? There's a big caveat to this, and I'll get to that in just a second. But first of all, we'll go this. Friday AM previews came in at $12 million. 12 milli for Lord & Miller's Project Hail Mary. Again, that is an all-in previews figure, not just Thursday night. We'll talk about that in a second. All records listed below still stand for that night's reporting. In addition, the Amazon MGM Studios movie scored the second best previews ever for a non-sequel, non-franchise after 2017's It, which did 13.5 million in its previews. It also beat the previews of some big movies like Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, that had 8.3, and Gladiator 2, that had 6.3. Buckle up, it's going to be a fun weekend at the box office. Project Hail Mary is booked at 4,000 sites, including all IMAX and premium large format screens. So, all right, biggest previews build up of the year. Second biggest, that's not a franchise or a sequel. That's all good. But I want to take us back to the one little comment that they said here. That $12 million, that is an all-in previews figure. Now remember, all films have preview nights. But this $12 million number also includes the box office from those advanced fan screening events. Now, there weren't thousands of those. There wasn't a ton of them, but there were a bunch. And therefore, you have to kind of take that $12 million number with a little bit of a grain of salt. Now, granted, many other films have also had advanced preview fan screenings that go towards their preview night, and they haven't been as big as Project Hail Mary's. Absolutely true. But again, I just do want us to make sure we're looking at a true picture here and understanding that that is that plus the advanced fan screenings. Still a very impressive number. Rob, when we talked about this the other day about that Box Office Pros projecting them to have a $70 to $78 million opening weekend, which is by far much bigger. Remember, that number does not include the advanced fan screenings.
Right.
They're saying 70 to 78 million. If it does come out to that big, that's a huge win for them because, again, it's nearly double, not quite double, but nearly double
They're
with the original.
It's going to go higher.
And listen, I'll tell you what, again, I went to go see it last night, packed house. It was a packed house. And it wasn't just a packed house, Rob. It was an enthusiastic packed house.
Yeah.
They were laughing and crying and cheering. And it was just a great experience. Now, again, I still don't know how big this movie can be because I do believe there are certain limits to its overall appeal. But I think it's going to do better than I initially thought it would. How well do you see this thing doing, and where do you see this opening weekend maybe coming in at?
Look, I mean, I'd said that I bet it would go up above 80 yesterday. I stand by that. I think it could go up even higher, and the proof is in the pudding. When you give people a film that delivers, you talk about experiential events, John, this is an experiential event that delivers the goods. It's if you see it in a large gauge format, it really is very immersive. It's very engaging. It's very emotional. It's just fun to watch. It's everything you want from a big budget, rousing entertainment. And Ryan Gosling is terrific. The realization of Rocky is great. And I think it provides exactly what everybody wants when they go to a movie. It's a real experiential event. And I think people are craving those right now, especially as a respite for what's going on in the rest of the world. So I wouldn't be surprised if this movie sort of catches a wave and does very, very well theatrically.
What do you think it's going to happen? It's going to have its opening weekend. So then the question becomes, once all the people go out to see it and they start talking about it, Will it have your standard general 50 to 60% drop off in weekend 2, which is the normal? Or do you think we could see like a Greatest Showman phenomenon here where, yeah, it doesn't have the biggest opening in the world, but so many people saw it and talked about it that they just went back to see it again and they dragged people to go see it. I don't know. Where do you think the ceiling is for a movie like Project Hail Mary right now?
Look, I think it's going to do great its second weekend. I would not be surprised if the drop off is half of what they would expect, because I think word of mouth is going to help this movie immeasurably. Everybody I talked to loves it. I mean, I've seen one comment that said it was too schmaltzy for them. I'm like, okay, well, the world needs schmaltz sometimes. But other than that, I think it's going to do very well. I think word of mouth is going to help this. I think people are going to tell their friends, you got to see this movie. And I think people that don't normally go to the cinemas a lot are going to turn out for this when they hear just how well this film delivers.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? The previews for Project Hail Mary have turned out to be the biggest of the year, coming in at $12 million. Second biggest ever for a non-sequel or a non-franchise film. You do have to take that with a grain of salt, though, that it does include some advanced fan preview screenings. Not a ton of them, but those are there, and it does affect the number, obviously. How do you think it's going to perform? Have you seen the movie yet? It did open last night. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, the last couple of years, it's been pretty good to be Joseph Kosinski. You know, he's done work before, but I mean, he had Top Gun Maverick, which just kind of took over the world. Then he did F1, which got nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, and I just had a blast with that movie. And of course, he's doing the upcoming Miami Vice remake, which looks like it's going to have Academy Award winner Michael B. Jordan and Academy Award nominee Austin Butler as Crockett and Tubbs. But now it looks like maybe they might have their villain. Because according to some reports going around, nothing official, but according to some reports going around, a guy who has worked with Kosinski and knows him very well, Top Gun's own Tom Cruise, according to the whispers, may be in fact playing the villain in Miami Vice. The good folks over at Joe Blow, they write for us the following. They said this: it's been a hot minute since we heard any new details about Joseph Kosinski's Miami Vice movie, but according to industry leaker Daniel RPK, who often is right, sometimes wrong, Tom Cruise could play the film's villain. It's been a while since Cruise showed the audience his knack for playing an antagonist with 2004's Collateral, giving him a chance to play a hotly tempered hitman. Now, of course, this news is unconfirmed, but we do know that Cruise and Kosinski have a great working relationship, and there we go. All right. I have thoughts on this. My first thought on this, of course, is that start just with a general thing. It is never a bad idea to add great talent. Tom Cruise is a great actor. And as Joe Blow mentioned, you know, when he did actually decide to play a villain in Collateral, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, but did he get an Academy Award nomination for that? I can't remember. He's had nominations. I just can't remember if he got. I just can't remember if he got nominated for Collateral or not.
I don't know.
But adding Tom Cruise to it would be amazing. I mean, that would just be an incredible feat for them to do. But you take a property like Miami Vice.
No, he didn't.
Oh, he didn't get nominated for. Okay. He could have. He was so good in that. You add on top of that a recent Academy Award nominated actor in Austin Butler, the newest member of the Academy Award winning club, Michael B. Jordan, and you make their foil Tom Cruise. My goodness. Oh my God. I mean, I honestly think you put this together, it could become one of the most hotly anticipated movies of that year. I mean, I'm talking anticipation levels on like a big comic book film level or a new Star Wars film level. I think you have a Miami Vice with Michael B. Jordan and Austin Butler as they have to square off against a Tom Cruise. And we've seen Cruise recently, working with Kaczynski, and Kaczynski's just been killing it. So him bringing his sensibilities to this, Rob, there's nothing about this that I don't love. I love everything about this. That said, I don't believe it. In my best Ron Burgundy, I don't believe you. I don't think it's going to happen. I really hope it does. And like I said, the Joseph Kaczynski connection with Tom Cruise certainly makes it viable. It certainly makes it possible. It is not a far-fetched idea, but Tom Cruise has like 5 big projects already lined up. And as the article pointed out, it's been over 20 years since he's been a villain. And does he want to do that right now? I'm not sure. So I'm going to say, Rob, I don't think this is happening, but I would 100% be all for it if it did. So, Rob, I put those 2 questions to you. Number 1, let's start with, do you think it would be a good idea to have Tom Cruise as the villain in a Miami Vice movie? And then the second question that you'll end off with is, do you actually believe this will happen? How do you see it?
Well, the Miami Vice series has a long history. You can go back and watch compilation reels of all of these incredible people that they hadn't broken through totally to Hollywood yet, but everybody from Julia Roberts to Bruce
I've
Willis.
seen that video on YouTube. That's amazing.
It's amazing. So to have Tom Cruise in a movie like this, it kind of keeps going with that tradition. I would love to see Tom Cruise as a villain. I don't know if this particular film is like is right, because you just want to see, it's Miami. You want to see a little. I mean, he's almost like too white to play some, cartel boss or something. He's just, then you'd have to make him like, I don't know. I mean, it could work. It was like Christian Bale being the bad guy in the movie, the John Singleton Shaft. When Christian Bale was a bad guy in Shaft, he was great, but it was kind of like, I didn't really believe it. So I'm not saying Tom Cruise wouldn't be great. I just wonder if I can see him as some drug kingpin in Miami. He could certainly play the role. But on the other hand, I would love to see him just dive deep into it. Like if he's like taking people out into the woods and having them chomped on by alligators or stuff like that, bring it on. I want to see him. I want to see him go full on supervillain. I mean, not like super, but really evil. Kind of like Robert Davi in the Bond movie, License to Kill. Just make him really a bad guy. I can't deny I wouldn't like to see that. Do I think it's really going to happen? I won't totally rule it out. Let's call it 15%. I think there's a 15% chance maybe he'll do it.
So there's a thought I have, like when they talk about him maybe being in Miami Vice, think of him in that first Reacher movie he did, which I thought was terrific.
Oh, he was great. Yeah.
You take him, that performance as Reacher, but make him evil. Perfect Miami Vice villain. You take that character, the way he played Reacher in that, but you make it an evil version of that. Perfect version of that. There's 2 things I really want to see Tom Cruise do. 1, I want to see him be a villain again. Because again, the one time he did it, he absolutely crushed it. The second thing that I really want to see him do is Les Grossman. And I don't even say that to be funny. I have been dying for how long has it been since Tropic Thunder? Like 15 years, 20 years? I can't even remember now. I have been dying for over a decade to see an actual full Les Grossman movie. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be facetious. I am 100% serious. I want that Les Grossman movie.
2008.
2008 when it came. So we're getting close to 20 years. It's been 18 years. I want to see him as that so bad. I can't even put it into words, my friend. I cannot even put it into words. Anyway.
Dude, I'm right there with you. It's when they made when they made Get Him to the Greek, the sequel to Surviving Sarah Marshall,
Yes.
and yet they brought back, as
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall, they brought back Russell Brand, and they made the movie about him and Jonah Hill's relationship. And I love that. I'd love to see a Les Grossman movie. I'd love it.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? There are reports going around that Joseph Kosinski may get his buddy Tom Cruise to be the villain in Miami Vice. Now, none of that is coming from official channels, but it is feasible. I just don't think it'll happen, but man, I would love it if they did. What do you think about it? Would you like to see it? Do you think it's really possible? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? The other day, there was a report, or we talked on the show the other day about the fact that Spider-Man Brand New Day dropped a new trailer, its first trailer. And it did not just break a record, all right? It didn't just break a record. It became... It's hard to put into words just exactly how big of a deal this was, because whereas records, they usually will break by increments. I call most of the time, especially when it comes to the movie business, records are done in increments. Like records get broken incrementally. So for example, when Spider-Man No Way Home teaser was the #1 trailer viewed ever at 355 million views in the first 24 hours, Deadpool and Wolverine broke that record by 10 million. Avengers Endgame's record was broken by about 66 million. So incrementally. But the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer came out. 718.6 million views in the first 24 hours. It beat it by well over 350 million views. And I said on this show yesterday that I believe what we saw was history. I believe, and you may agree with me, you may not, but I believe that what we saw was history in the sense that we will never, ever again will we ever see the most views of a trailer record broken by 95%. It's never going to happen again. This is it. Like, yeah, Doomsday's trailer may come out and it may get 800 million views in the first 24 hours and break the record. But what you're not going to see is the Doomsday trailer come out and double the Spider-Man views. That's not going to happen. That will never, ever, ever happen again. And so I was really trying to drive that point home yesterday because I think what we were actually seeing was some history. We were seeing history being made. So a question came up with somebody I was having this conversation in the live chat with yesterday. And then a bunch of people wrote in about this today too. So it must be a topic of conversation around the web as a whole. But Rob, the question became this. Could Marvel be producing not one, but two $2 billion films this year? Now, statistically on paper, Spider-Man Brand New Day is a Sony movie, but Marvel is producing it.
Sure.
Could Marvel have $2 billion films this year? By the way,
yes.
Somebody in the live chat just put this in. I've seen this. I'd look at clicks over views. Views can be misleading. I'm not saying there's no truth to that, but then that applies to every trailer. Like that's a caveat, but that you'd have to give to every trailer. So anyway, I wouldn't be questioning the veracity of those numbers at this point because they are vetted. But anyway, that aside, because Rob, there is a point probably about 6-7 months ago that I believed 100% that both Spider-Man Brand New Day and Avengers Doomsday were both going to be billion-dollar films. No question. They're going to be huge. They're going to be monumental. But given certain circumstances, because, at the time I was saying Marvel's momentum isn't all that great right now. the overall box office is down. I don't think either of those will be $2 billion films. Well, since then, Thunderbolts came out, Fantastic Four came out, Wonder Man came out. Momentum is back. We talked about that ad nauseum yesterday. The momentum for Marvel is kind of back. And you saw that with the insane view numbers on the Spider-Man trailer. And after seeing this record broken and seeing the direction things are going, Rob, I think I have to, and I alluded to this yesterday, I think I'm going to have to change my position on this from a year ago. I actually really do think there's a chance. Now, would I guarantee it? Would I bet $50 on it? No. But a year ago, I would not have said that Spider-Man and Avengers Doomsday had a chance of both being $2 billion films. Didn't have a chance. Today, I think there's a chance we could be getting to the end of the year and seeing that Marvel had two $2 billion films in the same year. And again, I just didn't foresee, Rob, Marvel turning the momentum, especially after Captain America 4. After Captain America, what was it called? Was it Brave New World? What was the name of Captain America 4?
Yeah,
I'm such a forgettable movie. I can't even remember the title.
Brave New World.
Brave New World. Especially coming out of Captain America Brave New World, which I had a lot of high hopes for because I love Anthony Mackie and, I was really hoping that would be good. And it was such a disappointment. And I never really would have thought that Marvel was going to get us momentum back with like Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four and things. But here we are. The momentum is back. The overall energy level, Rob, the enthusiasm of the fan base seems to be a lot more elevated right now than it was like 10 months ago. And now we see this thing with the trailer and my God, how big, I asked this yesterday too, how big is that Avengers Doomsday trailer going to be? I mean, it's almost ridiculous. So Rob, I'm now sitting here saying, I'm not willing to put money on it. And I'm certainly not saying it's a lock, but I've gone from saying it's impossible a year ago that Spider-Man and Avengers Doomsday would both be $2 billion films. Today, I'm saying it's possible. I think one of them will be, and it's possible that they both can be. Anyway, Rob, you're purveying this whole situation. What do you think?
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility at all. I mean, both of the last Avengers movies, well, I think Spider-Man No Way Home almost grossed $2 billion. And the last two Avengers movies, well, at least Endgame grossed almost $3 billion. So I think just by playing that numbers game, you absolutely might see $2 billion movies. And I guarantee you, if Spider-Man makes $2 billion, Doomsday is going to make a lot more because it's just going to feed into the hysteria. So, and I'm good for them. I would love to see both movies that successful theatrically. I mean, I always want film companies to do well and have their movies succeed. And I've loved the MCU for so long. I mean, I'd love to see it fire on all cylinders again and realize, like, just revisiting, I've talked about revisiting Civil War again, and you revisit that and it's like, wow, that's a good movie for what it is. Or just in general, it's just a great movie. The way it deals with its characters and everybody. I love that film, and I would love to feel that way about both Spider-Man and the new Avengers movies because I've loved all 4 Avengers films. What's not to love? I hope it's great.
Look, we should also mention here, though, that this can go south really fast. Because all this speculation and all this optimism, it goes right out the window if Spider-Man sucks. Now, am I expecting Spider-Man Brand New Day to suck? Absolutely not. They got a terrific director. I love the trailer. I'm expecting really good things from it. But there have always been movies that I was expecting really good things from. Craven. That I was expecting good things from that turned out to be absolute garbage. I mean, so like, it's fine for me right now, Rob, to say, I see a world where both Spider-Man and Avengers Doomsday can make $2 billion. But that completely gets flushed down the toilet if we come out of Spider-Man Brand New Day and going,
yeah, of course.
That changes the whole, because not only will that change Spider-Man's overall box office potential, it'll dampen the mood. I mean, listen, Doomsday is going to be a big hit no matter what. But if we come out of Spider-Man Brand New Day going, that will also dampen the mood a bit for Doomsday. Not enough to not make it a hit, but maybe not enough to make it $2 billion. I don't know. How do you see this thing swinging? Get it? I said swinging.
Well, I mean,
it's clever.
Look, everything is dependent on the quality of the actual product.
Yeah.
If the product is good, people will go. And, it looks like they've actually delved into some really interesting Spider-Man comics to come up with and animation to come up with this series. So in a way, they're giving people some familiarity with this as well, if you followed those things. And I think they've made the smart play, and they're not trying to outdo what they did with No Way Home. They've brought the story back, and they've made it Peter Parker centric. And who is Peter Parker? Who is Spider-Man? Redefining the character as he moves forward into his 20s. I think it's a really smart move what they've done. And if you and I both love Shang-Chi, I think they have the great director to do that. And I'm really looking forward to it. As a matter of fact, I think this Spider-Man movie, depending on how it's handled, might be more resonant with people that have loved the MCU because they've gotten older as well. So, if you started watching the MCU when you were a little kid, by the time you get to this Spider-Man movie, it might have a lot to say about your life now. And that extra added resonance can maybe push the film even further up the box office charts if it's good.
But by the way, as a little side note, I didn't mention this yesterday, and I should have. When you look at that 718 million views, I think that is a real testament to how much the public loved John Watts' Spider-Man films. Because if the 3 Spider-Man films that John Watts made weren't beloved, you wouldn't see 700 plus million people desperately waiting to see the next chapter of it. So I actually think that's a really nice tip of the cap and a testament to just how good of a job director John Watts did with those first 3 Spider-Man movies. The fact that it's got everybody so excited for this new one too. Anyway, guys,
100%.
Question is for you. What do you think about this? Do you think it is possible that we could see Spider-Man Brand New Day and Avengers Doomsday, 2 Marvel-produced films in the same year, both make over $2 billion? It seemed like a wild thought about a year ago, but today, maybe not so much. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, just Rob, because you and I were talking about this a little bit earlier, just want to update everybody. A side note. I'm doing an editorial. I meant to put it up last night, but it took me far too long to write the script, so I didn't have a chance to record and edit it. I'm going to record and edit it today. I'm going to have an editorial up today talking about AMC theater situation with their stock, the risk of being delisted, bankruptcy, all that kind of stuff. So we've been following AMC stock price. It happened, Rob.
It's
dropped below $1.
Ooh.
AMC Theaters stock price as of this moment is 98 cents. It has dropped below $1, which is going to make my editorial they're going to put up a little bit later even more relevant to what we're talking about. So just want to, while Cinemark's is going up and Marcus Theaters are staying steady, AMC continues to drop, and they're at 98 cents right now. Again, why that's important, why that's significant, we're going to talk about that in an editorial I'm going to put up a little bit later this afternoon. But anyway, guys, we are now going to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to bid good afternoon to writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, my friend. Thanks a lot
John.
for this.
Great week.
And I will, yeah, it's been a good week, and we will talk to you again on Monday. Have a good one, man.
All right, you too.
All right, guys, that's Robert Meyer Burnett. So now let's get over and start taking the questions you guys have been sending in, shall we? And we're going to pick things up here and start with Matan, who writes in, Paramount stock is becoming a penny stock. Well, no, it's still at like $9. It's not a penny stock. The AMC theater stock is officially a penny stock, but not Paramount yet. It's not at that point yet. Why the Ellisons keep chasing after Warner Brothers while Paramount is becoming a penny stock. Oracle stock isn't doing fine either and will do worst once OpenAI goes bust, which it might very soon. I mean, that's all possible. That's all possible. But again, Paramount is, I mean, things aren't looking great for Paramount, but let's not over exaggerate. It is not a penny stock. It is a long way from being a penny stock. So they have a plan and they think it's going to work. I may be skeptical of it, but let's see how it plays out. All right, next up, we got Journey Into writes, a week or two ago, you talked about the burden of playing a paladin in Dungeons and Dragons. Yep. I once played a paladin in a D&D tournament and was killed because I refused to lay hands to heal myself. Maybe it was stupid, but I felt it was rightly playing to the character. Yeah, playing a paladin, I've never played a paladin before, and in the current campaign we're doing, I'm playing a paladin, and it's challenging because, everybody in my party wanted to kill this Fey assassin who was trying to kill us. And I'm like, hey, they're beaten and bloodied and disarmed, and we've got them tied up. We can't just murder them. And having to stop them, that was really weird. But that is a key thing that, is doing what your character would actually do. And so that does present some challenges, man. I'm not going to lie to you. Playing a paladin in a D&D game has been kind of challenging. I'm not going to lie. All right. Dan the Fan wrote, roughly 1/8 of the world saw the Spider-Man trailer. It's interesting when you put it in perspective like that. And boy, in the world we live in today, do we need him. People long for a hero. I wonder how hard it's going to be to get tickets. Dude, listen, I cannot wait for Ticket Watch. I cannot wait for our Spider-Man brand new day Ticket Watch. I'm so excited about doing it, and I think it's going to be utter madness. I think it's going to be utter madness. All right. Thanks for that, Dan. Next up, Miguel writes, hello, everyone. I watched Project Hail Mary on Monday and I loved it. When can we talk about spoilers? It's funny you ask that. I have a few questions about the ending. Well, as I mentioned a little bit earlier in the show, we are doing a Project Hail Mary open spoiler discussion this Sunday. So I don't have the actual time, but it will probably be somewhere between 1 p.m. Los Angeles time and 4 p.m. Los Angeles time, somewhere in there. So it'll be 1:30, 2:30, 3:34. Is it somewhere in there? Keep an eye on I will put it up in our community tab a little bit later today, but we are going to do a Project Hail Mary open spoiler discussion on Sunday. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. All right, next up, a $20 tip from Andre McFarlane, who writes, thank you, Andre, by the way. That's incredibly generous of you, my friend. They write, hey, John, love the show. I'm wanting to hear your opinion on 4DX versus Screen X versus Standard. I'd like to know what my best option is for Doomsday, as Dolby and RPX are not at my theater. I'm going to be honest with you, Andre. I'm the wrong guy to ask. Ever since I moved to LA, to the LA area, 17 years ago, I have always lived right by AMC theaters. So 95% of the time that I go to the movies, I'm going to AMC. It is also I worked for AMC, so there was that. And of course, they are my theater of choice. I complain about AMC a lot, but I complain because I love. They are my theater of choice. What's the one, guys in the live chat? What's the one format where the seats bounce and they spray you with water? I can't remember the name of that one. So there's like a 15-second delay, but if you guys remember the name of that one, throw it in there. But that's 4DX. Okay. I've gone to one movie in 4DX, and that was for Twisters. Perfect movie to watch in 4DX, but it's the only time I saw it in. I wouldn't want to watch a normal movie in 4DX. But again, you just said that Dolby isn't really an option for you. That's too bad, because AMC Prime Dolby is my favorite theater to watch things in. IMAX are also big and beautiful. RPX, the big one. AMC also has a new one called AMC-X or AMC XL, I think it's called. That's kind of meant as an IMAX competitor. So look, they're all good. I would just say 4DX, you have to have a very specific movie you want to see in 4DX to go and watch a movie in 4DX. So I'll just kind of leave it at that. All right. Next up, we've got Milkshake Man writes, hey guys, God bless. So I'm almost certain Elektra will be back in Daredevil. I don't think so. I hope you're right. Do you think that's her in the trailer for Brand New Day? 100% no. 1000% no. Isn't she supposed to be leading the hand? I wouldn't worry about anything that happened. Like, while let's finish reading the thing. Isn't she supposed to be leading the hand? Also, I know it's late, but speaking on scripts and betting, isn't it crazy we can bet on WWE? Yeah, that is nuts. That is nuts. No, you're not going to see Elektra in Brand New Day. No. I mean, before I go any further, let me say, I don't know that as a fact. Like, I haven't talked to Kevin Feige and he hasn't told me. No, but I don't believe there's any chance that Elektra is in that. Now, also, even though Marvel changed directions, because originally when they were making their Daredevil show, it was not the same Daredevil from Netflix. Everybody told me I was wrong about that before the show came out, but then Kevin Feige came out and confirmed I was right. It was going to be a different, yes, it was still going to be Charlie Cox and it was still going to be Vincent D'Onofrio, but they were not going to be the same guys from the Netflix series. It was going to be a new series and Charlie Cox was a new Daredevil, all that kind of stuff. But then they decided to change directions. They scrapped everything they were doing. They were already like 3/4 of the way shooting the season. They scrapped everything they were doing and decided it is a continuation of the Netflix series. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to bring over every storyline that was in there. So let's say they do bring Elektra back. I think they'll have some flexibility with where they'll say she's at, right? And what she's doing. They could even get another actress to play her. But no, I don't believe there's any chance at all that we're going to see Elektra in Brand New Day. I don't think there's any chance of that at all. All right, next up. Ivan writes, hey, John, I was wondering if we play some random video on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and an ad with a Spider-Man trailer pops out, does that count into overall viewership of a trailer? No. If yes, what is then an actual number of people that actually watch the trailer? Well, I mean, here's the thing with that, Ivan. First of all, it doesn't count towards it. But even if it did, remember that would still be an even playing field because everybody else does that as well, right? Like studios advertise their trailers online all the time. But no, it does not count towards forced marketing views of it. To the best of my knowledge, it doesn't include that. All right, good question though, Ivan. All right, next up. See, Alan S. writes, hello, John. A thought came to mind regarding Mando movie. Gosling recently mentioned they are using puppets. Do you think Grogu could be in Starfighter? No. And this is why they move forward with Mando movie to intro him to the movie audience before Starfighter comes out? No. Remember, Star Wars is filled. Now, is that impossible? It's not impossible. Definitely not impossible, but no, I think they're trying to make sure Starfighter feels new. I don't think we're going to be bumping into any characters we know from other things. I think that's very important to Sean Levy and to Lucasfilm, is that Starfighter is going to be a truly original film without a bunch of characters we already know from other things. So just because they said they're using puppets, well, remember, Star Wars is filled with alien beings, and many of which you can use puppets in. So no, just because you're using puppets. So no, I don't believe there's any chance there's going to be Grogu in it. Again, it's not an impossibility, but it would seem to defeat their philosophy of wanting this to be a truly new Star Wars story with all new characters, new locations, not characters we've already met and seen before. So no, I don't believe in that Grogu will be there. But as Keaton says, until Dave Filoni puts Ahsoka in it, yeah, you never know. I wouldn't put that past Dave. I would not put that past Dave. All right. Thanks for that, Alan. Next up, we've got Brandon Wilson who says, is 2026 shaping up to be one of the best years in film ever? Spielberg, Nolan, Villeneuve, Inarritu, Fincher, Gerwig, McDonough. By the way, that Wild Horses 9, is that what it's called? That trailer looks so good. and Ridley Scott all releasing films, plus Project Hail Mary, Spider-Man, Supergirl, Doomsday, and more. We're eating good. Here's the thing. First of all, you're absolutely right, Brandon. We are eating good this year. That being said, in the first quarter of almost every year, it feels like, could this be one of the greatest movie years ever? And the answer to any question that starts with the word could is usually yes. Yes, it could. But remember, the law of averages says that some of these films we're super excited about are going to turn out to be crappy. It just happens. It happens every year. It will happen every year. And guess what? It will happen this year. One of the films, maybe two, maybe three of the films that I am ridiculously excited for this year will end up sucking. Now, as in any year, if every movie turns out to be a 10 out of 10, then sure, it could be one of the greatest movie years ever. But you could say that at the beginning of every year, but we're going to be disappointed by some of them too. So let's not get ahead of ourselves, Brandon. Let's not get ahead of ourselves too much just yet. But it is a great lineup though. This year is a great lineup. Okay. Ton Crompton writes, if you could only watch one and never see the other, Dune Part 3 or The Odyssey, Dune Part 3, easy. Dune Part 3. Now, I totally believe that The Odyssey is going to be awesome, and I can't wait for it. But I think Dune Part 2 is the best movie, not the best sci-fi movie, not the best genre movie. I believe, personally, this is just me, I believe Dune 2 is the singular best movie made in the last 10 years. And the first Dune was freaking awesome. So if I have a choice that I can either see a new film in The Odyssey or see the conclusion to this Dune epic, oh, I'm picking the conclusion to the Dune epic. 100%. 100%. Now, if you were asking me about another Denis Villeneuve film, let's say Denis Villeneuve's James Bond movie was coming out this year. Because remember, Denis is, after he's done with Dune, he's doing James Bond. And you say, okay, you have to pick one. Which one are you going to see? Denis Villeneuve's James Bond or Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey? Oh, well, then I'm saying The Odyssey. Yeah, 100%. But these Dune films have been a couple of the best films ever made. It's got the potential to be up there with Star Wars and Return of the Jedi, or sorry, Star Wars and Lord of the Rings as the greatest trilogies of all time. So yeah, I'm going to say easily Dune 3, 100%. Although I would weep that I don't get to see The Odyssey. Literally weep. All right, Corey Mack writes, I'm going to go see Project Hail Mary in 70mm IMAX at Regal Opry Mills. Thanks to you guys, I know my preferred theater, AMC Stony Brook, is LIMAX. Keep educating the people. Also, this is the first movie to premiere in IMAX in the stratosphere. Pretty damn cool. Yeah, I would say this, though. Let me throw this in. I know this isn't the popular thing to say, but it's often lonely being right. Regular IMAX screens, I'm not talking about the 70mm ones, because there's very few of those in the world. Okay. Compared to normal movie theaters, there's very few true 70mm IMAX films in the world. What we call LIMAX are still excellent movie theaters. Someone in the live chat is asking, what does LIMAX mean? So there are basically two different types. I'm oversimplifying it, but there are basically two different types of IMAX screens. There's what we call true IMAX, the monstrous 70mm projected screens. I think there's only 4 of them in the entire Los Angeles area. In all Southern California, I think there's like 4 or 5 of them. But there's very, very few of those. Now, IMAX also has, like just a regular screen that's bigger than normal screens, crisper picture than normal picture. It's a beautiful, wonderful presentation. As a matter of fact, Ann and I went to go see our first screening of Project Hail Mary on a full true IMAX, and it was great. But then yesterday we saw our second screening in what they call the LIMAX IMAX. And I got to tell you, I liked it every bit as much. I'm not saying the regular theatrical, just regular IMAX, LIMAX is as good as the 70 millimeter. I'm just saying that it's still a really, really good cinema. These non 70 millimeter IMAX screens and presentations are still exceptionally good, like really, really good. So, yeah, don't be too turned off of those. Are they as good as the big 70 millimeter one? You should probably go to the big 70 millimeter one if you get the option, but don't be deterred by a regular theater IMAX because they are still heightened experiences and they're still very good. All right, let's keep going here. Thanks for writing in, Corey. Next up, we got IWDMM something writes, "Hey, John and team, love your show. Thank you so much. While I'm here for the movie and TV talk, I also feel like I have further developed my critical thinking, financial skills. Oh, that's good to hear, etc. Thanks to you. Thanks for the entertainment, respect for the wisdom." Oh, thanks for that, man. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, it is called the John Campea Show, not necessarily the John Campea movie show, although that is what we're about, is movies and TV. But every once in a while, I like to throw in a little sports stuff here, some financial talk there, things like that. Listen, I'm not going to lie. I have really considered, but I haven't done it, and I don't know if I will. Shutting down this channel and just going to do a full political channel, because politics isn't theoretical. Politics are things that actually impact and affect people's lives. And that's important to me. And I've actually thought about doing that, maybe talk more about finances and stuff like that. But I mean, I probably won't. It's just that I see stuff going on in the world and I really get moved by it. And I feel like I really want to talk about some of these other things. And you guys know we generally avoid that stuff on my channel right now. But it is something that I've really thought about. Anyway, thank you for the kind words, man. I really appreciate that. All right. Next up, Clever Names says, next year we get scores from Ludwig Göransson, The Odyssey, Hans Zimmer, Dune, and John Williams in Disclosure Day. So that's cool. Who's your way too early Oscar frontrunner, or is it someone else? Oh, well, I mean, considering the fact that we haven't heard the scores from any of these, it's impossible to say who the frontrunner is. It's impossible. I have to hear the score in The Odyssey and hear, but by the way, what Hans Zimmer did in previous Dune films is insane. I would have to hear what John Williams is doing in Disclosure Day. Until I even at least hear the soundtracks, I'm not going to sit here and give a prediction about who the frontrunner is. I got to hear what those scores are, and then we'll have it. But I think it's pretty safe to say it's going to be one of those three. I think that's pretty safe to say. All right. Good question, man. Next up, the Kroger writes, "Hey, John, been watching the show for years. Thank you so much. It feels like hanging out with friends. That's how we try to make it feel. My question is, what do you think the chances are that Dune 3 is Messiah plus parts of Children of Dune?" First of all, I think Denis is going to take a lot of liberties with it. And so I think there's going to be some things that are very out of pace with Dune Messiah. Like, I don't think Dune, there's a reason it's called Dune Part 3 and not Dune Messiah. I think if he was really making a true adaptation of Dune Messiah, I think it would be called Dune Messiah, but it's not. They're calling it Dune Part 3. And I think that tells us that it's going to be based on Dune Messiah, but I think he's going to take a lot of liberties, like a lot of liberties. Now, that being said, we also know this is Denis' last film with Dune. He's not doing any more Dune after this. They're calling it the epic conclusion to the Dune saga. That being the case, he very well might want to reach out and take some elements of Children of Dune and bring some of those elements in. So it's possible that let's put it this way. I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if he does do that at some point. All right. Thanks for that, Kroger. All right. Next up, Ernest P. Worrell writes, "John, please explain it to me like I'm 5. if the Paramount Warner Brothers merger is going to create debt the size of Smaug's lair in Erebor, why would Warner Brothers just not stick with Netflix? Is it as simple as the Warner Brothers people just want to make their money from Paramount and run? Essentially, Ernest, yeah, it's as simple as that. Look, I use the analogy often as of a car, but let me use this Deadpool special edition version of Aviation Gin, the little Deadpool symbol on there. That was a gift to me. Let's say I decide I want to sell it. Okay, let's say I want to sell this bottle of Deadpool gin. And you come to me. Well, let's say Rob comes to me first, and Rob says to me, John, I will give you $1,000 for that bottle of gin. Now, Rob's got all of his finances lined up. He's got plenty of money. When he buys this bottle of gin from me for $1,000, he's still going to have tons of money. It's not going to hurt him financially, and he's going to be fine for $1,000. But now, Ernest, let's say you decide you want this bottle of Deadpool gin as well. And you come up to me and you say, I will give you $5,000 for that delicious Deadpool gin. I don't drink alcohol, but I'm assuming if I did drink alcohol, I would consider that this is delicious. And you said, I will give you $5,000. Now, the reality is, let's say, theoretically speaking, let's say you do have $5,000 in the bank, but you got laid off 2 years ago. You have no more income. You're 3 months behind on your rent at home. Your car just got repossessed, and you owe like $200,000 in taxes. But you've got $5,000 in cash to give me for this bottle. I'm taking your $5,000. What your financial situation is after you buy my bottle, after you buy my item, is no business of mine. I don't care what your financial situation is as a buyer and a seller. I don't care. That's none of my business. I don't care if you're going to be strapped and full of debt after you buy my bottle. That's your business. That's not my business. All I care about is who's going to give me the most money for this bottle. Because once you buy that bottle from me, I don't care what you do with it. I don't care if you take this bottle and keep it as a memento and you pass it down from generation to generation. I don't care if you buy that bottle from me for $5,000, immediately walk out onto the sidewalk and smash it on the road. I don't care. It's not my bottle anymore. It's your bottle. You can do whatever you want with that bottle. It's not mine. All I cared about is that you said you'd give me $5,000 for it, and you handed me $5,000. End of story. End of story. The shareholders of Warner Brothers, who are the ones selling their ownership, they don't care what happens to Warner Brothers after they sell it. That's business. And you wouldn't care either. If you were selling your car, you're going to sell your car to whoever gives you the highest bid. You're not going to sell you don't care if they're going to take your car and then use it in a demolition derby. It's their car now. They can do whatever they want with it. You don't care if the person buying your car is going to be in debt. That's not your business. It's only your business that they're buying the car from you and they give you the cash. As long as they give you the cash, you're good. So the shareholders, when they're looking at Paramount's financial situation and the debt they're going to be in, the shareholders don't care. Paramount shareholders might care, but Warner Brothers shareholders don't care. They're just not going to care. DB is asking, shouldn't they care? No, they shouldn't care. They're stock investors. They're not doing some kind of philanthropy. It's not a charity. These are stock investors, and you buy and sell stock to make profit. And he says, and shouldn't you care as somebody who cares about movies? Oh, of course I care. Of course, do you not watch my show? I've talked about this extensively. I very much care. But the question is, would the Warner Brothers shareholders who are selling this care? And the reality is, no, they wouldn't, and nor should they. This is a business. It's a business decision. I care about it, and I don't like what's happening, but that's not the question. The question is, why would Warner Brothers shareholders sell it to Paramount if it's going to put Paramount in a bunch of debt? And the answer is because Warner Brothers shareholders don't care what happens to Paramount or to their debt or to anything like that. All they care about is making profit, selling their shares. It's business. As Robert Meyer Burnett often says, it is not show friends, it's show business. Now, of course, I care, but that's not the question that Ernest asked. Ernest asked me, why would Warner Brothers shareholders sell to Paramount if it's going to put Paramount in a bunch of debt? The answer to that question is because Warner Brothers shareholders don't care if Paramount goes into debt. They simply don't care. And nor should they. And nor would you. You wouldn't either. You don't. Listen, if you've ever sold a car, did you 3 years later call up the person who bought your car and say, hey, you taking good care of my car? No, you don't. It would be inappropriate. It's not your car anymore. It's none of your business. So that's just the way it works out. All right. So that is all the questions that got sent into us in the tip link. Now let's move over and get to the questions that you guys have sent in live during the show. I have turned off the super chats, by the way. Oh my God, there's a lot of them. I should have turned it off sooner. Okay, let's get over to it here and start going through these, shall we? We might have to leave some of them out and do a companion video. I'm going to try to get through as many of these as I can. We're starting off with Jadovin, who writes, was that Rogue in the bus with Spider-Man trailer? No. King Daddy Goat writes, I personally think they're hiding Peter's actual mutation as Man Spider in that shot against the hand, but that's just my take. Thanks, guys, and bring on the filthy. I don't think they're hiding his... Look, they're going to have his mutation, and we're going to see it in the movie, is my guess, but I don't think they're hiding it in that shot. I think that shot is that shot. If it was Man Spider, then they would just pick a different spot. You know what I mean? A different shot to use in the trailer. So I think we're getting him, but I don't think they're hiding him in that shot. That's just my guess. I could be wrong, but my guess is they're not hiding him there. Mashan writes, hey, John, thoughts on Nuremberg and Crow's performance in it? I didn't think, I was looking forward to that movie as maybe being one of the best 5 films of the year. It wasn't that good, but I thought it was really solid. And you know me, I think Russell Crowe is a top 5 greatest actor in the world. He's not always in the best projects, but I think he's a top 5 greatest actor in the world. So I loved his performance in it. I thought he was great. Let's see. Mr. I. Kaepernick writes, Chuck Norris didn't lose his battle with death. Death tapped out and offered up his throne. R.I.P. to the man, the myth, the legend, Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris jokes will never get old, man. Even though he's not with us anymore, they will never get old. Keaton writes, saw Project Hail Mary last night and loved it. Greg Fraser is my personal hero. That film is gorgeous to look at. I mean, listen, we will obviously go much more in depth and talk a lot more about it on Sunday when we do our Project Hail Mary open spoiler discussion. But this movie is just so bloody good, man. I don't think it's going to win Best Picture, but it's going to be nominated. And it's just, I just love it, man. This movie, I've seen it 3 times already, and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing it a 4th time. All right. Thanks a lot for that, Keaton. Next up, Clone Force writes, hey, John, hope you're doing well. You think we will see Miles Morales in an end credit scene on Brand New Day? 100% no. This has got to stop, guys. This has got to stop. Anyway, Brand New Day, and Miles Brown should play as Miles Morales. Guys, first of all, Clone Force, thank you so much for writing in. And maybe you didn't hear me say this before, but guys, you have to be clear about this. You are not getting a live action Miles Morales. Not anytime soon. Not anytime soon. Okay? Kevin Feige was very, very clear. And by the way, I just did an entire video on understanding the Spider-Man rights I encourage you guys to go and find that editorial I just did, just Understanding the Spider-Man Rights. And Kevin Feige was very, very clear. He addressed this months ago. Somebody asked him about Miles Morales, and he straight up said, I've been told we have to keep our hands off Miles. They are not making any live action Miles anytime soon. Now, eventually, someday, sure. Yes, I absolutely believe someday, but not anytime soon are we getting a live action Miles Morales. You guys just get that, understand that. If you see people talking about it, let them know the truth. We are not getting a Miles Morales anytime soon. Okay. Just to be clear, because the rights don't allow it. And Kevin Feige specifically said, because Sony could grant Marvel permission to do something with it, but Sony has told Kevin Feige straight up, you ain't touching Miles Morales, at least not for now. So no, we are 1000% not getting Miles Morales in Spider-Man Brand New Day in any way, shape, or form. Unless you like see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse on a TV in the background or something. But other than that, we're not going to get that. Anyway, thanks for writing in, Clone. Appreciate that, man. All right, next up. Keaton sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Keaton, for supporting our channel on that level, man. And Keaton writes, total theory here, but what if Spider-Man doesn't have his Spidey sense by the end of Brand New Day and he goes to Shang-Chi to teach him the way of the spider like in the comics? That's how Destin does Shang-Chi 2, a team-up movie. Yeah, so in the comics, there's a great run where like literally Spider-Man goes to Shang-Chi to learn how to fight, which is actually really, really cool. But no, you can't have Spider-Man without his spider sense. My Spidey senses are tingling. I still think the most ridiculous, it is the most ridiculous superpower in comics. How does a radioactive bite from a spider give you magic powers of seeing the future? Anyway, but it is a core essential element of Spider-Man. His Spidey sense tingling, you can't have it without him. So yeah, I could see him getting together with Shang-Chi and getting Shang-Chi to teach him how to hand-to-hand combat, to elevate his combat skills. But I don't think it's because he doesn't have his Spidey sense. That's something you just can't take away from Spider-Man, I don't think. All right, great question though, Keaton. All right, Ethan writes, Chuck Norris didn't die. Oh, another Chuck Norris one. He crawled out of the coffin when everyone left the funeral, but seriously, RIP to him. And I love his cheesy 80s action movies. Again, listen, I get, he had some views on society that were a little weird, but who cares? We're talking about him as the movie star. And I really do mean that. I honestly think that our complete understanding of what the modern understanding of an action hero, even though that's been changing the last few years, but everything from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, I think he's the one who kind of defined that so early. I think he's the guy who kind of set the template. So yeah, there's just that. All right. Next up, Mr. I writes, hey, John, we're less than a week from Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Is it odd that there has been no announcement of the release schedule? Everything else had one. I believe there has been announced. Correct me if I'm wrong in the live chat, guys, but have they not announced that they're going to launch with the first 2 episodes and then all the other episodes will be weekly? I believe they announced that. I thought they did. Yeah, Thrag is saying in the live chat, there has, Lakers fan for life is saying, yeah, they did. By the way, Lakers 8-game win streak. How about that? Last night, Luka gets 60 and LeBron gets a triple double. They're looking pretty good right now. I don't think they're going to win the title this year, but they're looking pretty good. All right. Next up, Red Boy writes, hello, John. Did you see that emotional hug between MBJ and Leonardo DiCaprio at the Oscars? No, I did not. It was so heartwarming. You could tell Leo was proud of MBJ. I'm assuming you mean Michael B. Jordan. I did not see that. But I think, I think amongst actors, there's a lot of camaraderie. So I wish I had seen that. That sounds like a really cool moment. All right. Ryan Shock writes, hello, John. If you were the one to choose best supporting actors of last year, if you were the one who chose best supporting actors of last year to Oscar nominate, would Jack O'Connell have been included in picks? Oh, okay. You're asking. So if I was the one picking the nominees, would Jack O'Connell from Sinners had been given it? Yes. Now, let me, I just want to bring up, let me bring up the list here. That's the wrong list. Oh, a second. There we go. Okay. So, but that presents to you a problem. Okay. Because there's only 5 nomination spots. So if we want to put O'Connell in, that means we have to bump somebody out. And I'll tell you right now, I ain't bumping Delroy Lindo out. I am absolutely not bumping Stellan Skarsgård out. I am absolutely not bumping Jacob Elordi out. I think Sean Penn deserved to win, and he did win. Obviously not bumping Sean Penn out. Then that only leaves Benicio del Toro. And Benicio del Toro was awesome in One Battle After Another too. So it's easy to say somebody should have been nominated. It's not so easy then when you have to face the decision, okay, well then who do you bump? And I guess if I had to say it, if I had to pick one, I would have put O'Connell in as a nominee. And I guess the person I would bump out, it feels weird to say it, is Benicio del Toro, but I wouldn't bump Delroy for him. I wouldn't bump Elordi for him, because Elordi's performance in Frankenstein was mind-boggling. It was so good. Sean Penn was the best of the year. Stellan Skarsgård was like peak Stellan Skarsgård. So maybe bump Benicio del Toro, but that was tough. That would have been tough too. That also would have been really tough. All right, good question, man. Ryan also writes again, John, I was not expecting that performance at all when I saw Sinners. The whole cast was phenomenal, but Jack and Michael B. Jordan really impressed me. Yeah, the whole cast was amazing. Listen, you know who doesn't get talked about? Haley Steinfeld in that movie was phenomenal. And I get it. It's kind of like when Paul Dano was in There Will Be Blood with Daniel Day-Lewis. And nobody talks about Paul Dano in that movie because Daniel Day-Lewis gave, I believe, the greatest performance ever given in a movie. Like, I don't think There Will Be Blood is the best movie of all time, but I think the performance Daniel Day-Lewis gives in There Will Be Blood is the singular greatest performance ever given in Hollywood history in a single movie. Period. End stop. No more discussion. And because of that, nobody talks about Paul Dano. Paul Dano was insanely good in that movie, but understandably, everybody always talks about Daniel Day-Lewis. It's kind of a little bit of that same thing because Michael B. Jordan playing twins and wins the Academy Award, and Delroy Lindo. Nobody talks about Haley Steinfeld in that movie, and she was great. She was really good in that. I'm not saying she should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress, but she was really, really good in that. The whole cast was phenomenal. Really good. All right. Alex Von Gollum writes, hey, John, will there be a Project Hail Mary open spoiler discussion this Sunday? Yes. There's plenty to dissect about the adaptation. Amaze. 100%. Yes, absolutely. Project Hail Mary open spoiler discussion on Sunday. All right. Thanks for that, Alex. Mr. Jada writes, what should I visit in LA? Universal tour plus what? Warner Brothers tour. Absolutely go to Universal Studios Hollywood. And when you go there, take the Hollywood lot tour, tram tour. It's great. But also, if you're a big movie fan, do the Warner Brothers lot tour. It's really fun. I just found it fascinating. So I'd really highly encourage that one. All right. Tevin writes, do you think the Oscars could add a fan's choice? Fuck no. Absolutely not. Wash your mouth out with soap. Go to bed without any dinner. Fuck that. Absolutely not. No. No, no, no. I don't want fucking Betsy, who's only seen 3 movies this year, casting a vote at anything involving the Oscars. No. My God, sweet heavenlies, no. Anyway, let's finish reading your question, Tevin. Do you think the Oscars could add a fan's choice? Verified fans can nominate their favorite movies of the year. Then the top 8 get voted for. It may incentivize fans to watch because they're included. You know what? Show porn. Show porn in between commercial breaks at the Oscars. That'll increase viewership. Sure, but it degrades the Oscars. It degrades the Oscars. So if all you want to is get some more people, listen, by the way, even at 17.9 million, it is the number 1 non-sports cable broadcast of the year. I always laugh when people go, nobody watches the Oscars anymore. It was the number 1 cable broadcast event of the year, other than anything that had the letters NFL in front of it. It's still the number 1 thing to anyway. Guys, fan voted stuff is slop. It's garbage. Number 1, there's plenty of other useless nonsense. Go watch the MTV Movie Awards. If you want fan voted Drek, go watch the MTV Movie Awards. My ultimate, which I believe a Twilight film won Best Picture one year because the fans voted. Look, my number 1 thing is, why on earth would I want, Eddie Von Bottom Trumpet, who watched 6 movies this year, to actually vote on anything that has to do with the Oscars? Why would I want Bottom Trumpet to vote and have a say, who saw 6 movies this year? Well, I went to the movies, didn't go a lot, but I went to the movies, and let me just, find one for shits and giggles. You know what? I really like that Scream 7. Really like that Scream 7. Oh, and I like Jack Black, Anaconda. Yes, Best Picture, blah, blah, blah. Dude, did you, wait, time out. Did you see Sentimental Value? No, I don't like those artsy films. All right. Okay, that's fine. Did you see Sinners? No. Did you see One Battle After Another? No. Like, why would I want anything that like, go to the MTV Movie Awards. You want fan voted stuff? Go do it at the MTV Movie Awards. The Oscars are meant to be the Oscars. All right. It is industry professionals, actors and directors and screenwriters and producers, people who know movies better than anybody else in the world, voting on their peers and honoring what they see as being the best in the world. Don't put Fandrek. John Campea should not have a vote. Okay? John Campea should not have a vote. I just know. Eliza G. Pussy Honey should not have a vote. Eddie D. Dickface should not have a vote. No. I don't want people who watch 2 movies this year to then degrade the Oscars. So no, my God, no, none of that nonsense. Please, none of that nonsense. And I'm giving you shit on this, Tevin. I mean, you mean well. And I'm, as a film loving brother to another film loving brother, I'm just busting your balls. But my God, no fan voted bullshit at the Oscars. Save that for, Walmart Movie Awards or something, not the Oscars. Dear God, not the Oscars. All right. Thank you, Tevin. All right. Next up, we've got Josh Ward, who writes 700 plus million views. Good thing the trailer was great. No kidding, right? Like, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Everybody watches that trailer. If that trailer sucked, man, that would have hurt. That would have hurt a lot, Josh. All right. Seth writes, Hey, John, wrote yesterday about Jean's role. Wanted to ask, you said this won't happen, but remember in X-Men Apocalypse, that was not the MCU. In X-Men Apocalypse, Jean Grey gave Logan some of his memories back. Could Sadie Sink's character do that? No. And the reason I said before is that, first of all, there's no point in bringing up a failed Apocalypse movie that is not MCU. But Logan's memory loss had nothing in that movie, had nothing to do with magic and sorcery. It wasn't an incantation. Now, this is where we put on our nerdy faces for a second. Jean Grey has telekinesis and telepathy. She is not a sorceress. She does not deal or understand or know how to use the arcane. Okay? Because of that, I could see her using telepathy to remove mental blocks that people have because of trauma or because of a medically induced thing. But the thing surrounding Peter's identity is a sorcerer's incantation. It's magic based. So, yeah, and somebody saying she's going to be Typhoid Mary, not Jean. No, she's going to be Jean Grey. She's going to be Jean Grey. I haven't read the script. I just, as a fan, she's going to be Jean Grey. Anyway, it's not a physical thing. It's not a mental block. It's a sorcerer's incantation. So, sorry guys, I had a drop go down the wrong pipe. And therefore, no, Jean is not going to be the one to bring people's memories back. I don't think. You never know. They could do a lot of different things, but I don't think so. All right. Thanks for that, Seth. Christopher Diaz writes, how is Ready or Not 2? Didn't see it. Meant to see it. Ended up going to see Project Hail Mary for a third time instead. But I am going tonight to see Ready or Not 2, and I will do an out-of-theater reaction to that when it's done. Costas writes, R.I.P. Chuck Norris, thanks for everything. Absolutely. Ranch House writes, just got accepted in a student program at Cannes. Really? Have you been? If so, what should I expect? No, I've never been to France. I've always wanted to go. Anne was just in France. Anne went to Paris last year. She went and spent a little over a week there with one of her best friends. But I've never been to France, but I would love to go to Cannes sometime. That's an awesome opportunity, man. Congratulations on that. DJL writes, found my girlfriend, went on a date with a guy pushing Zendaya's hair back in the new Spider-Man trailer. Huh? Let me try this again. Found out that my girlfriend went on a date. Oh, I see what you're saying. So in the Spider-Man trailer, when Peter's at the party, he sees Zendaya standing with a guy who's like brushing. Clearly, she's in a relationship with that guy. So you just found out that your girlfriend went on a date with the guy pushing Zendaya's hair back in the new Spider-Man trailer. Love that for me. That's awesome. That's funny. It's fun. I had 2 experiences like that. I'm not going to talk about my own personal dating life, although I've got some stories I could tell. But there was twice. I won't say who, and I won't say whether it was with Movie Blog Days or For Your Consideration or AMC Movie Talk or Collider Movie Talk, but there were 2 different situations where I found out a girl working for me, and you wouldn't guess who it is. So don't even worry about it. But, I had known them for a little bit, and then out of nowhere, it just kind of came up in a conversation that they had dated Michael Rosenbaum. I'm like, Lex Luthor? I'm like, yeah, like they dated for a while. Then there was this other person who I found, you guys know the movie, The Social Network, the one about Facebook, right? So, you know how Armie Hammer plays the twins, the Winklevoss twins in that movie, right? Anyway, so I found out, I had already known this person for a bit, and then she tells me, "Oh yeah, I dated one of the Winklevoss twins for a while. That was my boyfriend for a while." I'm like, "What? You dated one of the Winklevi? Really?" And one of my favorite lines out of that whole movie is when the twins, it's like, "Yeah, I'll take him." Like, whatever. I'm 6 foot. What does he say? I'm 6'4", 230 pounds, and there's two of me. I love that line. I'm sure I've got the numbers wrong, but that was basically it. Anyway, that's a fun story that you found out that she dated that guy. That's funny. All right. Fear the Cow writes, "Do you think Venom will show up in Brand New Day?" Absolutely not. Again, I have not read the script for Brand New Day. Like, I know just about everything that happens in Doomsday, but I don't know anything about Brand New Day other than what everybody else does. But so as a fan who's just speculating, no, I don't think there's any chance we see Venom in Brand New Day. All right. Thanks for that, Fear. Stunner writes, "Hey, John, what do you think of Charles Branson?" Oh, do you mean Charles Bronson? Or are you talking about, guys in the live chat, do you think, is Stunna talking about Charles Bronson, or is there somebody called Charles Branson that I'm not thinking of? Because Charles Bronson was like they've remade his movies. He kind of became an icon for that one particular kind of role. Listen, they weren't all great. Let's not pretend like they were all great. But he was great in that vigilante kind of role, right? He was one of a kind for that. You never really got another guy like him. So yeah, again, not always great movies, not, top 30 greatest thespians of all time, but I loved his kind of movies. His Death Wish movies were amazing. Even though they weren't all great, but I still loved watching them. All right. Next up, Carlo writes, "Yesterday, Ryan Gosling surprised us at the IMAX 70mm Lincoln Center New York show. That's awesome. What a great way to start the movie. They also showed 5 to 7 minutes of a scene from the Odyssey." Yeah, we got that as well. The whole Trojan horse scene, we got that as well at the first fan screening of Project Hail Mary, and it was so great. One of the great things, when I used to run AMC Movie Talk, and we had our studio at the AMC Burbank 16 in the converted storage closet. The AMC Burbank 16 is the #1 movie theater in America now, by the way. But one of the awesome things about being there was it felt like every week some stars would come and do surprise drop-ins to audiences at films at the AMC Burbank 16. And that's always a great, pleasant surprise when that happens. When you're a fan, you're sitting in a movie theater, and then, like, I've been in a movie theater, and then all of a sudden Keanu Reeves just comes walking and goes, "Hey, everybody." And, that's always fun. It's always a fun thing. That's really cool that they do that. All right. Quantum of Zen just sends in a super chat just sends in a badge to be supportive. Thank you, Quantum of Zen. Vincent DeCruz writes, "Hey guys, do you think we love so much movies like E.T., Superman, Project Hail Mary because they make us better humans or because they echo our inner self? Personally, I think movies can change the world." Oh no, listen, I won't go too long into this because you've heard me say this before, but movie storytelling, nothing changes us like stories, right? And movies can, I've always said, good movies change the way you see the world. Great movies change you. I think I made up that saying, but I like it. Will change the way you see the world. Great movies change you. And I think there's elements of that in all really good movies. They're in stories. Stories are told by people who are telling us tales about how they see the world, how they wish the world would be, the way they wish the world would be, how they dream the world could be, how they fear the world could devolve into. That's what storytelling is. At the end of the day, that's all stories are told from a storyteller's perspective about how the world is, how they wish the world could be, how they dream of its potential, how they fear its descent, all that kind of stuff. That's why when anybody ever says, there shouldn't ever be any political point of view in any movie, it's like, then you've never watched a movie. All movies do, because all movies are told by a storyteller, and it's basically a palette of the way they see the world. It's a canvas of the way they see the world, what their dreams and fears and their loves and their dreads are. It's all that. But ultimately at the end of the day, one of the things I always say about movies is that they are experiential events. We go to movies to experience, whether it's fear, joy, laughter, wonder, amazement, dread, contemplation. Movies are experiential events. We go to movies to feel, and the ones that really make us feel any of those feelings, any of them. Horror movies try to get us to feel one thing. Comedies try to get us to feel another thing. Dramas make us feel another thing. Rom-coms make us feel another thing. Period pieces make us feel other things. If a movie can develop that or can deliver that experience and those feelings, then a storyteller's really done their job. Anyway. All right. Next up, what do we got next here? We've got Quantum of Zen writes, overheard Chuck Norris died 20 years ago, but it took the Grim Reaper this long to work up the courage to tell him. Okay, that's my favorite of the day. For those of you who missed that, Chuck Norris actually died 20 years ago, but it took the Grim Reaper this long to work up the courage to tell him. I love that. That's great. All right. Next up, Silent Ghost writes, Invincible season 4 is good so far. I haven't started on season 4 yet. I will get around to it. I've got to admit, I've cooled on Invincible a little bit. Like, I loved season 1, but straight up, if I'm being honest, I thought season 2 was not good. It wasn't enjoyable. I didn't enjoy watching season 2. I got through it because I wanted to get through it. Now, that being said, Invincible season 3, not quite as good as season 1, but it got back on track. Like, I enjoyed season 3, but because of season 2, I've kind of cooled on Invincible a little bit. And so I don't really feel that urgency that I got to go and start watching it right now, but I am going to watch season 4. I'm 100% going to watch season 4 because I do like the show. All right. Quantum also writes, 1 to 3. Thanks very much. Yesterday's answer about Larry Ellison's finances, I hadn't thought of possibly damaging one of his existing holdings as a consequence of executing my vision. That being said, I'm still hoping for the very long odds of Paramount Warner Brothers deal collapsing somehow. It's still possible. That can happen. I think it will go through, but there are many different ways that it could fall apart. Then WB fly solo or Netflix shows how good they are at 4D chess. Even if Ted Sarandos hadn't been inside the theater till this year's Oscars. Yeah, listen, I did a video about the different ways. There are 5 very real practical ways that this deal could fall apart. One of the most predominant ways is if state attorney generals bring a joint suit against it to stop it. That could stop it. But also if stocks continue to fall for Paramount and stuff like that, they may have to pull out of the deal. Again, I believe that the deal will go through. I believe a year from now, we are going to have a combined Paramount Warner Brothers. I don't want that, but I believe that's what's going to be the case. But it is very, very feasible. There are avenues in which this thing could fall apart. So we'll see if that actually happens. And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, guys, and making this little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions, whether you sent it in through the super chats or through the live or through the tip link. You guys sent those in and you gave us great fun things to talk about, and you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Keep your guys' eyes open on the channel a little bit later. Hopefully I'll have enough time to actually finish that AMC editorial about their risk of being delisted, their dilution, and maybe going into bankruptcy for AMC theaters. I'm hoping to have that editorial up today, but I do also have to leave a little bit later to go see Ready or Not 2. Hopefully I'll have that up before we go. And again, guys, don't forget, for those of you who are still here, first of all, there's still like 1,700 of you here. Over 2 hours since we started this show. Thank you, everybody who's still here. Don't forget, this Sunday, we are going to do our Project Hail Mary open spoiler discussion. I hope to see you guys then, and I hope you have a chance to see the movie before we do it. All right, guys, that'll do it for me. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.